Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with our deck tech for you today. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be covering Mech Massacre. So this is a budget mono white vehicles deck that we are going to hope to ride to victory. And how budget is it, you say? We're talking 10 rares and 1 mythic to build total on Arena. For those of you who are new to the channel, here's what we're going to do. We're going to break down this deck by covering the creatures first. We will then cover the non-creature spells. We'll then cover the land base, go over the sideboard, and then we'll have a match against Sparky to show you how the deck is meant to be played. If you are a fan of this kind of content and you would like to help me out, please make sure to give a like on this video and subscribe to the channel to see all the deck techs, booster pack openings, and other content I do, and so much more. But before I keep rambling on, let's go ahead and start looking at this deck. Now to begin, we're going to be covering 16 creatures in the main deck, and we're just going to talk first about our creatures that allow us to crew all of our vehicles. Hotshot Mechanic and Dragonfly Pilot in particular allow us to crew above their weight limit, so to speak. Dragonfly Pilot in the main deck is actually kind of helpful because it also allows us to conjure a Dragonfly suit, so that means we actually don't have to waste a slot putting those into the main deck. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually appreciate Alchemy 2022 in this regard. In any case, our other card in the 2-drop slot is Giant Ox, which allows us to crew something for 6 and above. There's only one creature, or I should say one artifact in the deck that can become an artifact creature that can crew for this. I'm pretty sure y'all can guess what that is, but we'll get to that in a bit. In any case, our final card is going to be Ingenious Smith. Ingenious Smith just basically gets a little bigger whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under our control, but it only triggers once per turn. The only other thing we want this for is it allows us to dig 4 cards deep to get an artifact out of our deck. But that's basically it for the creatures. Now let's cover the meat, or I guess I should say metal, in the deck. Sorry, that was a really terrible joke. For the non-creatures in the deck, this is obviously no surprise. This is the main focus of what we're doing. We're going to have a lot of vehicles to work with, and we do have some support options for them. So let's start with the vehicles first. We'll have Colossal Plow, High-Speed Hoverbike, and Mech Titan Core in the 2-drop slot. Mech Titan Core is kind of like our backup ability here. If everything just falls apart on our game plan, we can then put everything together to make a giant Megazord, or I'm sorry, Mech Titan, and then just smash our opponent in the sky for 10 damage, hopefully closing out the game in one, if not maybe 2 turns. High-Speed Hoverbike is mostly here just to tap something down if we just can't deal with it. Colossal Plow just does our massive amount of damage for 6. It's a high crew cost, but as you kind of saw, we do have some creatures that can kind of cheat that in. And also being able to gain an extra bit of mana and life helps us stabilize. Peace Walker Colossus is actually a really sweet card as well, but its main reason we want to use it besides that 6/6, which is not bad to use as a creature, but its second ability for 2 mana turns on any one of our vehicles into an artifact creature minus itself, so it's actually pretty nice to have just keeping off to the side. Imperial Recovery Unit just helps us recover any one of our other cards that we may have lost, which is anything from 2 or below mana value-wise. Aether Sphere Harvester just helps us get a little bit more damage in the sky, easy to crew up, and also that energy turns it into a lifelinker, which can also help us stabilize against aggro decks. Surge Hacker Mech and Sky Sovereign's Console Flagship both provide spot removal when they enter the battlefield, but with the Console Flagship we can keep doing that as long as we keep attacking. And then as for your support cards to help out this game plan, we have Born to Drive. Attaching this to any one of our artifacts or creatures pumps it up +1/+1 for each creature in our vehicle we control. And if we have to channel it, it's really sweet because this creates us 2 pilots, which is the magic number for us to turn on anything from our Colossal Plow and below. Armed and Armor is actually a really awesome thing, and also another one of our backup plans in case we just can't close out the game with just crewing vehicles. By turning on all of our vehicles into artifact creatures, we can do a massive one-shot swing, usually out of nowhere against our opponent. And then finally, Soul Stealer Axe. This is my cute little spice that we have. Yes, I know it's another alchemy card, but it actually does pretty decent in this deck. By attaching this to any one of our creatures, not only do we gain trample, but also whenever we deal combat damage to a player, you get to seek a card with a mana value equal to that damage. Not equal or less, it has to be exactly equal. So in other words, say your Surge Hacker Mech was able to do 4 damage. In this deck, that means you'll just get out the other Surge Hacker Mech. Or say you did 2 damage, then you can get anything from the Colossal Plow to that Mech Titan Core. Now, since this is a budget deck tech, as you know, we're only going to focus on basic lands. However, we can afford to bring in 4 copies of Mech Hanger, so 16 planes. And as for that Mech Hanger itself specifically, it's a super sweet card that actually goes really well into this deck. What's nice about this card is it allows one of our target vehicles to become an artifact creature until end of turn. So even if you have all of your other creatures get blown up, as long as you can get a Mech Hanger out there, you can still try to turn all of your vehicles into creatures and smash your opponent to make sure you can get that win. But there you go, simple as you can be for the land base. Let's go over now your sideboard. Now, as you kind of notice with our deck, most of our biggest problems, of course, come from the fact that none of our stuff can really do anything until we set up after a couple of turns. So to slow down our opponent, we're going to be focusing our sideboard on those types of cards. Specifically, we have Authority of the Consuls. This is mostly against creature-heavy decks out there, allowing us to gain some life and buy ourselves some time by forcing our opponent to have their creatures enter the battlefield tapped. To help out with that, if in case we are dealing with control decks, we have Deafening Silence to slow down their combos. To protect our creatures, specifically our artifact creatures when we crew them, because let's be honest, our opponent, once they see that we're going to be doing a lot of crewing, they're going to wait for you to turn on your artifacts to make them creatures, to make them even easier to remove. So Built to Last not only gives you a bit of pump, but it also gives your artifact creature indestructible until end of turn. Only 2 simple copies of Portable Hull. We honestly don't want to focus too much on this deck on being able to remove our opponent's stuff. However, a tiny touch of removal doesn't hurt. 2 copies of Soul Guide Lantern, typical graveyard hate like always. Cathar Commando is great because it comes in using its flash ability, and being able to sack it to get rid of an enemy artifact or enchantment is really nice. And finally, a single copy of Make a Stand to create a massive amount of protection for all of our creatures. Say we crew everything with Armed and Armored, Make a Stand just gives us a little extra insulation. Alright everybody, so here we go. We're going to be playing our vehicle deck against Sparky to show you again how the deck is meant to be played. So, in your opening hand, you basically want to get at least one of your pilots out, and hopefully at least something you can play on the 1, 2, and 3 drop curve. So make sure that you want to ideally get about 2 lands, maybe 3 lands, really just depends on your hand here. So let's see what we got. We got Dragonfly Pilot, which can help us get out a vehicle. We have Ingenious Smith, which can help us dig deep for a couple extra vehicles to pull out, and an Ether Sphere Harvester that we can also guarantee to get out by turn 3. All right, so again, nothing super explosive here, but we can at least get the ball rolling. So let's go ahead and play this. We're gonna have our plans. All right, we got a Mech Hanger, which is gonna be nice in case if any of our creatures get blown up. We can then turn on Ether Sphere Harvester on its own. All right, Dragonfly Pilot comes out. So this will give us a free Dragonfly suit, which is not too bad. Nothing special, but it does have flying, so it's nice and evasive. We'll then pull out the second planes. Ingenious Smith, helping us dig. All right, so what do we get? All right, these are some decent hits. So let's go and get the Peace Walker Colossus. This alone can turn on other vehicles that we have, so this will be actually a nice keep. Not to mention, its crew is 4. We have 2 creatures out. Assuming they don't get blown up, we can actually use them to turn on the Colossus itself. So not too shabby here. All right, so we have to make a decision here. We can either, if you feel like your opponent's not going to blow anything up, you can possibly then pull out your vehicles now and then crew them up. Or we can try to get a little greedy with Ingenious Smith. On the other hand, we do have a pretty full hand. So I think for now, what we're going to try to do is get out the Ether Sphere Harvester. All right, pumps up Ingenious Smith. And then we also have a little bit of energy to work with to turn on the lifelink if we need that in a pinch. All right, no attacks, obviously. Pass the turn. Okay, Sparky, give me your best shot. What do you got? All right, Goblin Gang Leader, how cute. So it's going to make some tokens. Those will be annoying to deal with, but not the end of the world. All right, so no attacks from Sparky. All right, Soul Stealer Axe is actually pretty nice here. So this is also one of our little spicy options that I've considered using here. Before we get to the next phase, we're going to crew in the Dragonfly Pilot. Then you will turn on Soul Stealer Axe by putting it on the Ether Sphere Harvester. We're going to get a swing in, smash for 3, triggers off this, so basically we get a free hit here, get another Colossus out of our deck. Not too bad. The only downside about doing this with vehicles, if you haven't noticed, is the Soul Stealer Axe will unequip from the Harvester once it goes back to being a regular artifact, so just be aware of that going forward, which is a little unfortunate for us. All right, Sparky took out our Ingenious, so that's okay, we have another one. So just be mindful of that if you intend on using the Soul Stealer Axe. It's a bit janky, but as you see, it does keep our hand full, so that's not a bad thing. All right, so with now, we have a little clunky right now since we can't really cast certain things. All right, Ingenious Smith again. So this is gonna help us dig. All right, here we go. Colossus Plow is exactly what we need. All right, so let's get this out now. We can't do anything about adding on a Soul Stealer Axe again, but we're gonna just pass. In case if we have to turn on Ether Sphere Harvester against any of their attackers, we can do that. Alright, Sparky is just building a board that's going wide. How cute. Alright, so they're going to swing. No surprise there. They have one card in hand, so I'm not going to be surprised if they have some... Oh, here he is. Alright, so in this case, while the shock is on the stack, we might as well just turn on Ether Sphere Harvester now, using Ingenious Myth. And then, technically, you can also crew up Colossus Plow if we really needed to here, but we're not going to. We need to jump block here. So, let's get out of the way the Hulun Minotaur. We'll take the rest of the damage. And we're at 14, so I'm going to actually turn on Lifelink now, so we can keep our life total a little high. Alright, so we can still stabilize. This is not too bad. Alright, second Colossus Plow is nice. Over the plains. So here, we'll get out our first Peace Walker Colossus. Then what we're going to do is we're going to crew up using Dragonfly Pilot. Equip it. Out of 13. Card out of our hand. Alright, another Ether Sphere Harvester is not too bad. Alright, Sparky's going to get a smash. Going to do some heavy damage here. Not ideal, but it's okay. Don't worry, we will stabilize here. We will stabilize. Okay. So let's see. Plains. And then remember that Born to Drive here is actually pretty nice as well. So here's how we're going to do this. Born to Drive on the Ether Sphere Harvester. We still have an energy left. And also we can turn on our other creatures with Peace Walker Colossus. Remember, that's 2 hits right here. So here's how we're going to do this. We will do it on Ether Sphere Harvester. Second hit on the Plow. So this actually will help us stabilize. So that's some life back. Smashing them down to nothing. There you go, everybody. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. We're going to show you a quick second match to show you using the Armed and Armor option, how we can handle this match. Okay, so here's our second match, everyone. As you can see right here in our hand, we have our 2 lands. We have a Hotshot Mechanic, which can help us crew up. Ingenious Smith can help us dig. We do have the Armed and Armored. We just want to see if we can get out a ton of vehicles to make the Armed and Armor worth it. So we're going to keep. We can also get some extra crewing from Born to Drive if we absolutely need to. Alright, so Hotshot Mechanic. High-speed hover bike, again, doesn't seem like it's anything crazy, but it's nice to tap something down so we can buy us a turn if we absolutely need to. Ingenious Smith. We're going to dig, hoping that we can get some more vehicles. Alright, Colossal Plow. Very nice. Get in some quick damage. At least 2 or 3 more vehicles would be really nice here to use for the high-speed hover bike. This might be annoying to deal with, but it's not too bad. Alright, Colossal Plow. Pumps up Ingenious Smith. Get in swing here, do some damage. Aww, Sparky. Bad Sparky. Trying to show everybody watching like how we can do this. It's fine. Okay, so how do we want to do this now? We're gonna hold off for a turn. Nothing? Okay. In that case, high-speed hover bike with flash. Ah, jeez. That's annoying. Tap that down. So we might channel here just so we can get some... Yeah, I think this actually might be better here. We're going to channel, create some pilots. This can now get turned on with our 2 pilots. Remember, again, the pilots do allow us to crew vehicles as though they were power 2 greater. What that basically means is, you do math correctly, I know math is hard here, it's going to be 2 on top of their 1 power. So technically these are 3 power pumping up for a crew of 6. So swing with the Colossal Plow, some mana, gain some life. This will help us out a lot now. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this. Let's get out... Well, we have a couple ways we could do this. Let's put out a second Colossal Plow and a second Hotshot Mechanic. Okay, we're going to end our turn there. If we can get 1 more land, we can actually do this with a Mech Titan Core, which would be actually be hilarious to do here. Not quite yet. I want us to see if we can pull this off the way I want to. So Mech Titan Core. We're going to turn this on again. Do 1 more swing here. We're down to 2. Normally, I would have just gone for, obviously, the straight win, but we're trying to show off something fun here. So, we have 4 artifact vehicles here. Sparky's just trying to poo-poo the whole game plan here, but that's okay. Next turn, Armed and Armor is going to come through, and this is going to be hilariously fun. Even though Sparky is just blowing up all of our pilots, which is annoying. Oh, well, there's extra land. That's fine. We're going to just do it the fun way here. So, Armed and Armored turns on everything. Woo! Swinging big here. Tons of mana, tons of life. We don't actually need it. We're just going to smash our opponent's face. There you go. That's using the Armed and Armored plan, everybody. I know, nothing super fancy, just smashing on through. Hope you enjoyed that. Alright everybody, we have made it into that point in the video. If you are still watching at this point, thank you so much. You are my true fiery friends. And as always, to reward you for sticking in there, here is what I'm going to show you. The secret to upgrading this deck and making it even more amazing. Now, as for upgrading this deck, we're going to stick to mono white. Yes, you can go actually into another color, and I would honestly recommend possibly splash into blue if you really want to be that daring. But to keep it simple, at least for this version, let's stick to mono white. And for the upgrades, we're going to be swapping in some cards that are going to fix one of the main problems for the deck, which was card draw. So we'll have copies of Esper Sentinel. We'll be utilizing some Saram Senior Edificer over the Giant Ox, and a couple copies of Regular Bankbuster. A couple other cards you're going to want to consider is going to be Nettle Cyst. I love this card. It really gets stronger and stronger as we keep getting out more of our vehicles onto the battlefield. We will add in a copy of Karn, Scion of Urza, with the constructs that it can make, and being able to slowly but surely kind of churn through our deck. It kind of forces your opponent to kind of make careful decisions on what they want to give us. But either way, anything they do give us is going to be pretty awesome. This means we will have to take out some Imperial Recovery units. We'll then take out a couple of Giant Ox just to compensate for all this. And then as far as any other upgrades, you're going to want to look at obviously your mana base. This is pretty obvious whenever I talk about this. Always upgrade your mana base before you do any of the other stuff that I just mentioned. But if you do have those wild cards, a couple copies of Treasure Vault, you could argue that a full playset of Treasure Vault might actually be better, but you don't want to also miss some of your land drops that you're going to need in white. Other cards you want to consider, a single copy of Inventor Sphere to give us a little bit of life gain, nothing major, and also being able to sack it to get another artifact we need out of our deck into our hand is also pretty nice to pinch. Copies of Ijano, Seed of the Empire is going to be also nice too. A Castle Ardenvale to create some extra human creature tokens, and these can also help us crew some of our vehicles and chump block. And a Cave of the Frost Dragon, if all else fails, we have something at least to work with just to slowly but surely close out the game. You'll also want at least one copy of Teferi's Protection if all else fails and you just need at least a turn to kind of stall out the game plan. That means we will take out a copy of Built to Last. We'll add in some Pithing Needles to name certain cards that we have trouble dealing with. And to help out with our Graveyard Hate, one copy of Lion Sash, which can also be a great creature, but also is even better when we attach it to any one of our other creatures that we have. And that was our deck tech for today. So I hope you enjoyed that, everybody. And again, if you are a fan of this kind of content, please make sure to give a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to see all the deck techs, booster pack openings, and more. You know, as I keep doing more of these, I think we might try to start adding in some non-budget fun jank decks. And in the future, I'm also possibly looking at some historic brawl. And if you do want to see that stuff, all you have to do is leave a comment below, and I would love to hear from you. But aside from that, thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.